911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but it looks like the whole city block, the power's gone out.
Oh, okay. What street are you on, sir?
I'm on,
Due to the passing of Bill C.233 AB, the U.S. government was compelled to declassify thousands of previously confidential files. Among them was Case Before. 921, a peculiar case that has come to be known as the Great Russian Hack. The events that transpired during the investigation of this case were so bizarre and unlikely that it still remains a topic of intrigue and fascination among those who study it. It's the year 2020, and tensions between the United States and Russia are at an all-time high. In the midst of this political turmoil, an FBI agent, Agent Smith, notices something strange happening on his computer. He sees files moving around and being deleted without his permission. Agent Smith panics and tries to stop the hacker, but is only able to force them out of the network after significant damage is done. Files are deleted, government secrets are lost, and a power grid is shut down. Agent Smith knew this was not an ordinary hack. He quickly called in his team to assess the situation. The FBI began their investigation, which involved searching for clues that could point them to the source of the hack. They found that the attack had been carefully planned and executed, with every step of the way covered up expertly. The team suspected that this was the work of the Russian government, and they began to pursue this lead. Agent Smith and his team immediately contacted their counterparts at the CIA and the NSA to share the evidence they had gathered. The agencies agreed that it was a serious matter, and they decided to work together to track down the source of the hack. They started by monitoring the networks, searching for any suspicious activity or any signs of the hacker's presence. They looked for any telltale signs that might indicate who was behind the attack. As the investigation continued, it became clear that the hackers had used sophisticated methods to avoid detection. They had hidden their tracks and made it very difficult to trace their activities. Despite the team's efforts, they were unable to find any direct evidence linking the hack to the Russian government. Despite this setback, Agent Smith and his team continued to dig deeper into the case, combing through mountains of data and interviewing witnesses. They found that the hackers had gained access to the network through a vulnerability in the system. The team patched the vulnerability, but it was too late. The hackers had already infiltrated the network, and they were still in there, lurking in the shadows. The FBI decided to take a more aggressive approach to find the hackers. They began to conduct cyber attacks on suspected Russian hackers, hoping to find a connection to the hack. The team was relentless, attacking any IP address that they suspected was involved in the hack. As days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months, the investigation was becoming more and more complex. The team was working around the clock, and the stress was beginning to take its toll. They were tired, overworked, and under constant pressure to find a solution. But the investigation had led them down a dead-end road. They were no closer to finding the source of the hack, and the investigation was becoming a political nightmare. Agent Smith and his team turned their attention to potential suspects. Their initial theory is that the attack was carried out by Russian operatives, so they begin by interviewing individuals with connections to the Russian government. Their first suspect is a man named Mikhail Petrov. Petrov is a wealthy Russian businessman who has been known to have close ties to the Kremlin. When questioned by the agents, Petrov denies any involvement in the hacking and provides an alibi. He claims that he was in Moscow at the time of the attack and has evidence to prove it. The evidence Petrov presents is a series of pictures taken by the paparazzi showing him attending a charity event in Moscow, which he organized to raise funds for his newly established frontal lobotomy charity. Agent Smith and his team verify the authenticity of the images and find no reason to doubt Petrov's alibi. Their next suspect is a Russian hacker named Sergei Ivanov. Ivanov is well known in the cybercriminal community and has previously been implicated in several high-profile hacks. When questioned, Ivanov admits to having the skills necessary to carry out the FBI hack but denies any involvement. He claims that he was in the middle of a 72-hour gaming marathon with his online friends. When asked to provide evidence, he shows the agents a live stream of his gaming session. Agent Smith and his team watch in disbelief as Ivanov and his friends play a popular online game, barely taking breaks for food or sleep. They start looking into possible insider threats, interviewing employees of the FBI who had access to the system. They also reach out to cybercrime experts to gain a better understanding of the methods used in the attack. As the investigation continues, Agent Smith and his team begin to feel the pressure. The agents work long hours, poring over mountains of data and interviewing countless individuals. Just when they think they've hit a dead end, a breakthrough comes in the form of a lead on the IP address used in the attack. Excited by the prospect of finally solving the case, Agent Smith and his team follow the trail to a residential address. They stake out the house, waiting for any signs of suspicious activity. But what they find when they finally make their move is not what they expected. They checked the registration details of the house and found that it belonged to an elderly man named Harold. After setting up surveillance equipment, they watched and waited for any activity from inside the house. Harold stepped out of his house to water his plants. The agents quickly approached Harold and asked him to come down to the station for questioning. Harold was confused but cooperative and agreed to go with them. Once at the station, Harold was taken to an interrogation room, where two agents were waiting for him. The agents began by questioning Harold about his knowledge of the Russian hacking incident. Harold had no idea what they were talking about and kept insisting that he was innocent. The agents persisted and showed him the evidence they had gathered, including the IP address associated with the hack. During Harold's interrogation, he revealed that he was so computer illiterate that the last time he tried to order a pizza online, the entire city block's power went out. Agent Smith's interest was piqued when Harold mentioned this, and he started to realize what had happened. Upon further questioning about the night in question, Harold explained that he had been trying to order a pizza from Gus Oven Pizza online, but had accidentally typed in us.gov instead of the correct website address. Harold was such an old man and so computer illiterate that he had mistakenly logged into the US government's website using the word pizza, which, unbeknownst to him, was Agent Smith's embarrassingly simple password. It was at that moment that the truth behind the Great Russian Hack finally came to light. The agents were dumbfounded but relieved to have finally uncovered the truth. They realized that they had been chasing a false lead and apologized to Harold for the mix-up. Harold, still a bit befuddled, was just happy to go home and tend to his garden, unaware of the chaos that had unfolded around him. The agents left Harold, relieved that the case was finally solved. Thanks to Bill C.233 AB, we had the privilege of getting an insider's view into the details of the infamous Russian hack. And who would have thought that the entire scandal could be traced back to the simple issue of an old man's computer illiteracy. As for Gus Oven Pizza, with their new and improved online ordering system, they are once again the go-to spot for delicious pies and hassle-free ordering. Whether you're in the mood for a pepperoni or mushroom, Gus Oven Pizza's new online ordering platform is the perfect way to satisfy your cravings without leaving your couch. If you enjoyed today's authentic, absolutely true, 100% real, definitely not AI-generated true crime story, please feel free to like, subscribe and leave a comment.